The weather pattern known as El Nino is expected to dump a lot of precipitation onto the West Coast this winter. Brett Larson reports it's already impacting South America.
Godzilla and Bruce Lee, those are just some of the nicknames for a possible record-setting El Nino, which is headed towards the West Coast this winter.
There is a pretty good chance that we'll have above normal precipitation in Southern California.
An El Nino occurs every few years when winds shift in the Pacific Ocean along the equator, warming the water more than usual. Forecasters believe this could be the strongest El Nino in 65 years. In South America, where it's winter now, people are already feeling El Nino's effects. Heavy snow is blanketing Bolivia and Peru, paralyzing towns and villages. Last month, the government of Peru declared a 60-day state of emergency in preparation for possible El Nino damage.
The road is completely frozen. We've been able to rescue vehicles that were stranded. Others coming up are risking their lives.
El Nino is also considered a factor in a migration mishap. These penguins from Patagonia ended up on the hot northern coast of Brazil.
The animals are very inexperienced. It is their first migration. They're very young and caught the wrong currents.
It's unclear what impact El Nino will have on the drought-plagued West Coast. The hardened ground from wildfires could cause flooding and mudslides. But there's also a plus side.
Lake Powell, Lake Mead, Roosevelt Lake, all of those reservoirs levels are down around 50%. So a really good winter with a lot of snowpack, some good runoff in the spring, can help bring those levels back up.
Brett Larson, Fox News.
Speaking of weather predictions, I was just reading something saying that Boston, my hometown, is expected to have a mild winter. Not quite sure what that means, but if it's anything less than the 148 inches they had last year, I think there'll be some happy Northeastern people. Here's Amanda. She's tracking weather here. Not really winter yet, obviously, but some changes in our forecast.
There are some changes in our forecast, and we do expect to see some shower thunderstorm activity around from time to time. It is something we definitely need to continue to keep an eye on, but most of the percentages are on the lighter side. Here's a look at Look Rock. You can see not too bad out there. There has been some thunderstorms rolling through our northern sections for much of the afternoon. You can see most of the activity is across our northern sections, and this is the rainfall totals for the last 12 hours. You can see even upwards of 4 inches fell in a few locations. So it really has been a significant activity in parts of the region. Now, there are the other parts that didn't see a whole lot, and we do expect to see some showers and thunderstorms continuing for the rest of the evening. A lot of that activity is going to die out pretty quickly. Could see some gusty winds, hail, and tornado, not really as likely, but the biggest threat is going to be that flooding, just for the simple fact that we do have that rain coming down at a pretty good rate under some of these cells, and they're moving very slowly, so they're dumping a lot of rain over a prolonged period of time. Temperatures, northern sections are in the 60s. We have some 70s as you get closer to Statesville, and then as you get further off to the south, 80s and 90s across the region. So where that rain is, we are seeing that cooler air in place, and that is mainly across our northern sections. Overnight low around 68 degrees. Like I said, that shower thunderstorm will be possible for the rest of the evening. Most of this activity will be mainly early, because as we lose that daytime heating, that's where we're going to see that activity dying off, because all of this is really diurnal driven. There's not really any major trigger mechanism coming through, just a couple of short waves here and there. Otherwise, partly cloudy skies overnight, and this is going to be the same kind of scenario as we get into the day tomorrow. We'll have clouds and sunshine overhead. Most of our area should stay relatively quiet. We can even see starting off the day at 6 a.m. not a whole lot's going to be happening. Now, as we work our way into the afternoon hours, we do expect to see some shower thunderstorm activity once again, especially across the higher terrain, and once again there could be some heavier rain with that. It's really just going to be a very similar day to what we're seeing. So here's a look at the day tomorrow. Temperature is going to be climbing to about 90 degrees in the afternoon hours, but the humidity levels are starting to climb as moisture gets pushed back into the atmosphere. So our heat index values are going to feel a little bit warmer. Now, there is the potential to see some shower thunderstorm activity each and every day. Best opportunities, though, look to be Tuesday and Friday with a couple of fronts affecting the area. Jenna?
Facts are I did not send nor did I receive material marked classified.
Several presidential hopefuls hit the all-important state of Iowa as they try to strengthen their case for the presidential nomination. So see which two candidates threw jabs at Jeb Bush. That's after the break. So it's all about the fair, the Iowa State Fair, that is. Several presidential candidates making a stop in the all-important caucus state this weekend. Among today's attendees, party frontrunners Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And they're both taking jabs at Jeb Bush. Fox News chief political correspondent Carl Cameron is on the campaign trail in Des Moines.
Food, farm animals, carnival rides, and presidential candidates. Democratic hopefuls Hillary Clinton, Lincoln Chafee, and Bernie Sanders. And on the Republican side, Donald Trump, Rick Santorum spending Saturday afternoon at the Iowa State Fair. Clinton addressed the email scandal after turning over her personal server to the FBI this week.
Facts are I did not send nor did I receive material marked classified.
Flying into the fair in his personalized chopper, frontrunner Donald Trump called the email issue a big problem.
If you look at General Petraeus, he had just a tiny fraction of what she's got going, and they destroyed his life virtually. So I think she's got some very big problems.
Jeb Bush got hit from the right and left, with both Trump and Clinton going after him about what he said about Iraq.
In 2009, Iraq was fragile but secure. Mission was accomplished in the way that there was security there.
I find it somewhat curious that Jeb Bush is doubling down on defending his brother's actions in Iraq.
Well, he made statements over the last couple of days that are incredible. Trying to justify the war in Iraq can't be justified.
After Clinton and Trump left the fair, in came Democratic candidate Bernie Sanders.
I apologize. We left the helicopter at home, and everybody said that this campaign was a joke. Who believes that the American people are prepared to take on the economic and political establishment of America?
The Iowa State Fair will have more than 1 million people attending in the course of 10 days. They average about 100,000 a day, and that's close to the number of people who will be actually taking part in the caucuses next February. In Des Moines, Carl Cameron, Fox News.
I don't know how, but it needs to be fixed. And this should never happen again, especially with a special needs child.
Coming up, a bus driver makes a huge mistake, leading to the disappearance of an autistic child for more than 10 hours. How it all went down is next. Welcome back. Well, police say a mistake by a school bus driver in Louisville, Kentucky led to the 10-hour disappearance of a 16-year-old student with autism. As Fox's Travis Ragsdale reports, officials with the school district are promising changes to keep this from happening again.
16-year-old Kyle Line has autism, and when he got dropped off nearly 8 miles from his home on Thursday, he tried to take matters into his own hands.
I tried to find my way home home from the place that they mistakenly dropped me.
JCPS confirms he got on the wrong bus and went to his old house, even though his mother updated his information 2 weeks before school started.
He got onto a bus for a previous address. We are still investigating how that happened.
I don't know how, but it needs to be fixed. And this should never happen again, especially with a special needs child.
LMPD says it began a search for Kyle shortly after 5 o'clock when 911 received a call from family to report Kyle missing.
As our officers responded and made contact with the family, they did not believe that the 16-year-old was in danger for himself, but they did start an immediate search of the area.
But according to LMPD, this is when its officers received incorrect information.
The bus driver informed our officers that the 16-year-old did ride the bus and what location that they dropped the child off at. And it was determined that the 16-year-old was actually not even on the original bus, that he was on a different bus in a different location where he was dropped off.
LMPD says without this mistake, Kyle would likely have been found much faster.
Something went wrong. We are trying to determine what it was. We're grateful that that student is safe with his family.
Shortly after 8 o'clock, JCPS and LMPD scoured bus cameras to determine exactly where he went after school.
Ultimately, our video from buses and schools was able to help us understand which bus the student had gotten on, and we were able to help police in locating him.
When we were able to get updated information of the bus that he was actually riding, we were able to find him shortly after that.
Kyle was found just after 1 a.m. at the home of his step-grandparents.
It concerns me and it infuriates me at this point. To have an autistic child, regardless of age or function, to have him unsupervised from the front door of a school all the way until he gets to the bus stop where I can pick him up is unthinkable. It never should have happened.
And that was Fox's Travis Ragsdale reporting. Nobody was hurt, but people in Madison, Wisconsin are forced to evacuate their apartments. That's after a giant sinkhole opens up, leading to concerns about the potential for gas leaks. 3 cars fell into that sinkhole in a parking lot early on Friday. Officials say the sinkhole was caused by a water line break. Buses were brought in to shelter evacuated residents. Amanda Cox, our meteorologist, tracking a pretty much beautiful weekend, but there may be some rain in our forecast. We can handle it though, right?
Yeah, we can handle it. We definitely need the precipitation. Unfortunately, not everybody's going to see something, but we do have about 90 degrees right now, so it is steamy out there. Other parts of the area, northern section,